What up, everyone? I can feel the excitement growing. Ooh, I've been on forums with Packers fans and can't help but let it get the better of me that I'm talking smack with them. And I really am looking forward to this game this weekend. This is gonna be a fun one. All right, so what I want to do today is I want to talk about the wide receiver class coming out. This is one of my geeky analytical ones, one where I'm going to show you a few things that I'm going to go a little quicker on this one because I don't want it to drag out when you're doing the analytical type of stuff. But before I do that, has everyone seen this? All right, so this is the Bears post game with DJ Moore, and I'm going to let it roll for a second because there's two things. First, they question him about Justin Fields, and then they question him about Marvin Harrison Jr. And the point of this that I'm going to do is, if you guys haven't seen, here's the connection between DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr. And the chemistry is an important thing of what this team has been building. But Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore they've interacted a lot. They're both from Philly, and apparently they were on the same track team, or they practiced together. So there's a connection there. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. and Justin Fields both being from Ohio State, apparently there's a connection there. They've been in touch. So I think there's a little more connection going on here. But here's DJ Moore. I want to go over this.
I mean, that's all I can say to that.
DJ, how much would you vouch for Justin Fields this offseason just to keep the chemistry together?
Chemistry? Yeah.
I mean, I said it before. I'm going to keep saying it. What makes him not the quarterback? I mean, today, the Houdini Act should have just put the nail in. He's not running back, but he's him. So, he's going to be the quarterback. I want him to be the quarterback. I said what I said. Now it's on the higher up, so it's up there. It's up to them.
DJ's classy. That's not putting pressure.
I did hear those chants, and I know their box is right there, so I know they heard that stuff too. So
you're watching tape on Marvin Harrison Jr. then?
I grew up with Marvin Harrison. We ran on the same track team, so whatever we do, we get him, and it'll be all love. If we go a different route, what can I do about it?
What can I do about it? So DJ's classy. He's not going to put pressure on the brass, but he's made his stance well known that he wants Justin Fields clearly. So, those who don't think Justin Fields is sticking around, you got to realize this is a wide receiver we haven't had before in DJ Moore. And it's clear that we are lacking weapons. DJ Moore at full commit. That's it. Darnell Mooney, something's really off. I don't think he's going to get re-signed. So it's clear we're going to take a high-drafted wide receiver. I'm going to show in this video why we need to take multiple, but there's a little pressure there now. So it's pretty interesting to see that go down and to see the way that he's talking about it without being that arrogant, boisterous, putting pressure on, hey, here's my stance. I'm your number one guy. This is what I want type of thing. All right, so here's the analytical, nerdy part of me. I'm going to try to fly through this a little quick because I don't want this to be a drag-out video, but I want to show you how unique this class is. So I put together the last three classes, this year's, the year before, 2021, and next class coming up, 2024. And what I want you to see is I've broken it down into tiers, and this is not me. This is a combination of different places. DraftBuzz really puts a lot of them together, but there's also CBS Sports, 24/7, ESPN, Walter Football, mockdraft.com. So there's just a lot of them compiled together. And this is a consensus of where these guys should go. And this tier one guy up here is Jamar Chase is the last time we've had a tier one guy, where I consider that someone who could be drafted number one overall, but should go in the top 5 for sure. And that's Jamar Chase. We've had several in the past, but since 2021, that's the only one we've had. Marvin Harrison Jr. is that guy. Obviously, there's talk about him potentially going number one to the Bears. So the Bears could pick him number one overall. That quarterbacks are usually taken. A wide receiver hasn't been taken number one overall in the last 3 decades. Malik Neighbors, Romo Dunze. On the next tier, high probability of top 10. Garrett Wilson, Drake London were that. Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle. There wasn't one last year. Last year was kind of considered a weaker wide receiver draft, and you can kind of see that's eventuated itself. I'm going to go into some of the stats of everyone. But as you go to the next one, high probability of round 1, Rashad Bateman in 2021, Jamison Williams, who's kind of not worked out, Treylon Burks, who hasn't worked out, Quentin Johnson, who's up in there. These 2023 guys, they're up in the air. Zay Flowers looked really promising. Quentin Johnson had really ton of issues with his hands, not catching the ball. But in the 2024 class, Troy Franklin, Emeka Egbuka, Xavier Leggett, even Adonai Mitchell, Brian Thomas, those two, Adonai Mitchell and Brian Thomas, could be right up in that. I mean, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get 8 and 9 taken, but it's a good chance there could be 7 taken, 6 taken. But so just outside, a lot of buzz, some round 1 buzz, but likely to be just outside the top rounds. So early second round, Rondell Moore in 2021, John Dotson, Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt, and this class, Donnie Mitchell, Brian Thomas Jr., and Johnny Wilson. Even though Johnny Wilson has the hands issue to me, so that's why I'm not a huge fan of him. But solid round 2 prospects, quite a few in 21, quite a few in 22, not a whole lot last year. And this upcoming year, there's more than ever. So there is a lot of top-tier talent. In this upcoming draft class, I said it in a different video, there's 15 guys that could go in the top 45. It won't happen because teams have to address needs. But there's 15, so there's going to be value here. How fast they start coming off the board, that panics other teams. We'll see how that works. This is going to be an interesting draft for that aspect, period. Because there's going to be 5 or 6 quarterbacks that everyone's going to be kind of fighting for in that first round. And these 15-ish, 16 wide receivers that everyone's going to be going after. Then, of course, you have guys who exceed expectations and come out of nowhere. Not necessarily out of nowhere, because last year's class, Jaden Rain, Richie Rice, they were at the edge of round 2. So it's not like they were big shockers. They weren't out of nowhere. But guys that exceeded the expectations, Amon-Ra St. Brown in 21, Romeo Dobbs in 22, and this year, who knows who's gonna be the guy that exceeds the expectations in this class. So I'm gonna go through each one of those years and show how they performed. But unless you're drafting a guy in the top of the first round, there's not really a guarantee. First round should be a quality player. You get into the second round and it's hit or miss. Third round and on, you've got no guarantees. Wide receiver is one of those where you have to take them at the top of the draft if you want a surefire guy. And even then, every once in a while, Kevin White for us, the last time we picked a first round wide receiver, doesn't always work out. But this is the class you can do it in. So let's go to the 2021 class. Now, I've replaced the other players the other years with their stats over the last 3 years. You can see Jamar Chase, home run. This is Marvin Harrison Jr. type of comparison. And Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle are Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze type of comparisons. Not that they're compared to those types of players. In fact, Rome Odunze is kind of being compared right now to Devonta Adams, which I love. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is kind of being compared to Calvin Johnson, which is elite. Special to even be compared in that, right? But you can see those top 3 guys, all of them considered top 10 talent. All of them having 1,000-yard seasons their first 3. All of them are considered the best of the best in the NFL. These guys are top-tier wide receivers. They didn't have any most likely top 20 in this draft. High probability of first round. Rashad Bateman. The yellowish color, that means that they were injured that season and didn't play at least two-thirds of this. Didn't play at least a third of the season. So they played 11 games or less. And so Rashad Bateman kind of out on the second year, but his numbers aren't super impressive for a first-round pick. Rondell Moore, not super impressive. And you can see as you go down the list, there's a couple of outliers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he was picked in the 4th round. He's obviously one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So there's going to be an outlier every year. You can't expect that. You can't expect to pick up a Velus Jones Jr. in the 3rd round and have him be a home run. And a lot of Bears fans have been super hard on him. Yeah, there's some things to be super hard on him for. There's a lot of fumble issues that he's getting corrected, and I like it now. And I like to see that they're kind of turning him into a running back style with his speed. We'll see if he can do a Cordarrelle Patterson type of thing and do returns and get some pitches and do some quick slant type of stuff. We'll see how he develops. He's still young. But you can't expect to take Tyler Scott in the 4th round and have him be an Amon-Ra St. Brown. You just don't expect that. So unless you're taking at the top there, at the top of the first round, that's where you have your guarantees. This is why the Bears have to take a first round at the top. So if anybody's not on that page, they need to get on that page. Let's go to 2022's draft. So, there we go. 2022's draft, Garrett Wilson top 10, Drake London top 10. High quality, Chris Olave most likely top 20. ended up being high quality as well. But you see, as you get to the end of the first round, high probability first round, Jamison Williams injured that whole first year, came back this year, not really hitting expectations. Treylon Burks been injured parts of both years, not really hitting expectations. Jahan Dotson, for likely just outside the first round buzz. I mean, that's kind of what you want out of that range is a quality 2 or 3 receiver. But then George Pickens exceeded expectations. He's doing better than you would expect for a solid round 2 prospect. But then you go down the list. Christian Watson, I mean, that's where you want value right there. They got value out of him. And then outliers who exceeded their expectations, Romeo Doubs. And the Packers really have done well of drafting wide receivers lately. They've done a really good job. You can see that in this class too. So then you get to this last year, there was nobody considered a top 10 talent in this year's draft. There was a small amount of buzz about JSN, but if you remember going back to this draft, there was nobody talking about taking a wide receiver in the first round or in the first top 10. None. You get Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jordan Addison. They both had quality years. Quentin Johnson had some drop issues. Zay Flowers had a quality year, but as you get down the list, you don't have guarantees. Puka Nakua's they're rare. Rashee Rice wasn't really expected to be as good as he has been. He wasn't really an outlier way out there. He was edge of second round, third round pick. But then the Packers got Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, who have done well for them. FGB, screw the Packers. But it is what it is. So let's go to here. So this is in the last 5 years combined. This is where your 1,000-yard receivers come from. You look right up there at that top. So your 1,000-yard receivers have been drafted, 21 of them from the first round, 15 from the second round, 10 from the third round, 1 from the first or fourth, 5 from the fifth, none from the sixth, 1 from the seventh, and 1 undrafted free agent. So that's where your 1,000-yard receivers are coming from. You have to be drafting high capital to be able to get these guys. And look at how stacked this class is. I mean, every category, tier 1, high probability of top 10, most likely to be in the top 20, high probability of round 1. I mean, there's 7 guys that should go in the first round, 3 guys that are knocking on the door of the first round. I'm not going to dive into each one of these guys because I wanted to keep this kind of a shorter video, but Jalen Polk, Vlad McConkey, Malachi Corley, even Devontae Walker, I mean, those guys they all should go in the second round. Maybe some of them won't because teams are going to have to draft for need, but I mean, this is a loaded wide receiver class. That's why the Bears need to trade down at least once. And here's my prediction. After everything coming out about Marvin Harrison Jr., I think the Bears are going to do everything they can to get Marvin Harrison Jr. And there's going to be rumors about the Patriots even taking a wide receiver at number 3. And that's going to prohibit the Bears from trading down to 3. So they're going to trade with the Commanders. The games are going to be played. People are going to go back and forth. You're going to hear the rumors. We're going to trade with the Commanders. We're going to swap first for second. We're going to get a second rounder this year and a second rounder next year. That's what's going to happen. If we're lucky, we'll get them to trade first for second and second rounder this year and our own second rounder back. That's no future draft capital, but we do have the Panthers second rounder next year. We're not in crazy dire straits. But that way it guarantees us Marvin Harrison Jr., and there's something to be said about that chemistry. There's already chemistry with djmoore. Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm going to go back to that one. So I did point that out earlier. He was liking these posts by djmoore. So djmoore was tweeting about the game, about different things. PFF was tweeting, and Marvin Harrison Jr. was liking. And on djmoore's Instagram post where he said a win at Soldier Fields in the snow, and Marvin Harrison Jr. put a handshake and a fire symbol. So he was liking it and showing respect. So I mean, it's a big deal. So there's some respect there. That's where we're going to go. We're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr., and then if we can snag one of these guys in the second round with one of those picks trading down, Donnie Mitchell would be sweet to get in the beginning of the second round. Brian Thomas Jr., I don't want Johnny Wilson, but I know I might be an outlier on that. But Jalen Polk, Devontae Walker, all those guys. So that's where I'm looking at. I did a video recently that I did the Bears taking 3 wide receivers. I don't think it's far-fetched. I think we could do that. But if we at least snag 2 in these top rounds, we're giving ourselves a solid chance to have a stacked wide receiver room and some weapons for Justin Fields. So that's what I got for you today. Let me know what you think Let me know your thoughts on this wide receiver class. Do you want Marvin Harrison Jr.? Are you okay settling, trading down even farther for Rome Odunze, Keon Coleman, Malik Neighbors? I really think that it's on the writing's on the wall now that we are going after Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that's absolutely what's going to happen after you see the connection between DJ Moore and the connection of Ohio State. Apparently, Justin Fields and Marvin Harrison Jr. have been in contact in some form or another. So I think that's where we're headed. But that's where we stand. Until next time, thanks for checking this out. If you haven't, hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't. Appreciate you checking it out, and we'll have some more for you soon. Until next time, bear down.